Okay, good evening. I'd like to call to order the Concord Township Board of Trustee meeting for February 3rd, 2021. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Dawson, the roll call, please.
Mrs. Lucci?
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Present.
Mr. McIntosh?
Present. Next order of business is the approval of the minutes from the January 20th, 2001.
Mr. Chairman.
20. Is that supposed to be 21 trustee meeting?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve.
I apologize, Mr. Chair, that's my fault.
Threw me off there, Andy.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes from January 20th, 2021 regular trustees meeting.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on. Elected officials reports, starting with Amy Dawson, fiscal officer.
Thank you very much, Mr. McIntosh. As of January 31st, we were 8% of the way through the new calendar year. Treasury balance for the 19 active funds within the Township Treasury was $5.4 million. The Treasury balance also includes $374,237 in funds set aside for specific projects. Year-to-date expenditures were 14% of the temporary budget for 2021, and revenue was 1%. So we will be slightly over budget until the real estate taxes come in during the month of March. We'll be holding our annual appropriations workshop with the trustees on Friday, and after completing the draft, I will ask the trustees to approve the 2021 permanent appropriations, the second meeting in February. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call our office at 354-7516.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And trustees, Mrs. Lucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a couple meetings the last couple weeks on economic development and our strategic planning meetings with our department heads. Along with our fiscal officer, we heard great information about the township, how we've grown, what our needs are, and they've offered great insight into things to consider for the near future. We discussed, roads that need repaired, equipment issues, some structures to consider. We've talked about our bicentennial year coming up, plans for recreation, and we are in the process of prioritizing things based on needs and of course, being fiscally responsible. We have a lot of decisions to make. Obviously, our fire station project is still forefront. Our intention is to keep our community safe and maintain the general welfare by, eliminating service interruptions if possible, looking for good directions that best serve Concord fiscally again and safety-wise. We are looking at, for the fire station project, all options very closely. We're intently researching what the best decisions are to move this forward. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out with any feedback. This is also our annual Ohio Township Association conference, and we're doing this virtually this week, so we're enjoying some nice presentations which enhance our ability to serve Concord. And we're also continuing to monitor the COVID situation and the vaccination schedules, and those are moving along, I think, pretty well for Lake County.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci. Mr. Dondorfer.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh. I'll start out. I had a couple calls from some residents regarding some safety issues in the township. As Mrs. Lucci indicated, safety is a priority for this Board of Trustees. With that, a resident expressed concern again regarding the traffic signal at the intersection of Morley and Prouty due to a recent serious accident that was there. We are in the process with the Lake County Engineer's Office of having that intersection evaluated by a private consultant. It looks like down the road that traffic signal will be replaced more than likely with some type of left green turn signal. We are staying on top of that, and it is a priority for the board. Also, I had a concern about the recent accidents on the I-90 corridor, specifically in the area of the 202. I'm very familiar with that area from my law enforcement days, and due to I think a lot of it is, maybe a fire chief will agree with me, is weather related, is the way that lake effect comes over that area. But at the same time, some residents had concern on whether or not, ODOT was making needed passes through there with pre-treatment of the roadway and salting and plowing and things of that nature. I assured them that, we had spoken with our service director and confirmed with ODOT that, they're aware of the issue there. We also I ensured the resident that we have a variable speed limit that was implemented there. And as soon as we have inclination or information that the weather is turning bad in that area, it's immediately relayed to the state, and they mitigate that speed limit to lower speeds. So we are on top of that, and we want to make sure that people traveling through that area do stay safe. I echo Mrs. Lucci's statements regarding the strategic planning meetings we had. We were very busy the last couple of weeks. We had 2 great meetings. It was very beneficial to me to hear about first the plans that were discussed and put into place over the years in Concord Township prior to this board coming into office. It sort of, for me, delineated a roadmap of where Concord has been, where it was prior, where we're moving towards, things of that nature. So that was very informative. We also did meet with all of our department heads during the other meeting regarding forecasting of future needs from their departments in Concord Township. We have a lot going on, as Amy said. We heard from service on the roads that need repair and a plan for that. What's going on with recreation or bicentennial, and lastly, the fire department. And I can tell you that we are very determined to move this plan forward responsibly, with a lot of dialogue, not only with the board and township officials, but willing to entertain input from the community as we did in the stakeholder meetings. I think it's important as we move this project forward with the approval of the levy. We have an obligation to our residents to give them the forum to participate in this and to give us feedback. And our plan collectively, I know, is to be transparent and responsible as we go through this project, to make sure we do it appropriately and we do it the right way. So looking forward to that, and we hope all of our residents are staying safe and healthy during the pandemic. We wish everyone the best. Again, I'd like to remind people to patronize our local establishments as we're navigating through these challenging times. And if we can be of any assistance, please don't hesitate to contact myself or any of the other trustees. Thank you, Mr. McIntosh.
Thank you, Mr. Nordhofer. I've received a few calls this since our last meeting. It's the second call actually in the last few months about AT&T service, and I know I've been talking with Andy about our administrator about finding out what their intentions are in a couple different pockets of the township. I know people were requesting either the U-verse or the AT&T fiber service that I didn't realize wasn't in as many places as I thought it was. So we're hunting down that one. Taking a few zoning questions regarding some potential violations and violations. I've been talking to Ms. Freeman about some potential change in the zoning code, and we just wrapped up a pre-RCD conference for anyone that wasn't paying attention or wasn't at that meeting, or though that was a conversation about an applicant looking to rezone some property in Concord to take advantage of our conservation zoning. And it was the first step in a process where they got to dialogue with the trustee board of the zoning commission and some county officials as far as how that might go. If that application comes to fruition, there will be a public meeting process where both boards will have a hearing and a public meeting process, so that the public will have an opportunity to comment at that time. Did have a couple concerns with respect to some of the ongoing, what the impact to our community is going to be as far as the construction of the fire department. I know there's some questions as far as how it'll impact the neighborhood when we get around to working on Station 2 over there on North Meadow and Prouty Road, and And I've had some people ask about service and how that's going to go, and we're obviously working on that. So with the fire department and with our architects, so there's a lot of moving parts there to discuss. And I'm also enjoying OTA, although a little bit disappointed I don't get to go in Columbus. Sitting on a Zoom meeting, it's too easy to get distracted and do something else. So, but there's been some good stuff. The legislative update was interesting, and I thought it was fun that the governor made light of townships in the sense that he talked about in his opening remarks on Monday. He said, he talked about living in a township and said that, well, Fran and I have protesters outside of our house, and he said one of the things that the protesters do to encourage people to come and say, well, don't have to worry about getting in trouble because they live in a township. There's no noise ordinance. So I thought that was a pretty good punchline to open up the. It was on a clout meeting, Coalition of Large Urban Townships. Had that this afternoon. Got some. Our service director Tim Brown is in trouble because I sat in on a maintaining safe roads thing. So we're going to have a conversation at some point here. But I think that's about it for my report at this point. So we will continue on with the meeting, and we'll open up with our administrator's report, Mr. Andy Rose.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh, members of the board, Mrs. Dawson, audience members, and to our law director, Mr. Lucas, a happy birthday to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you tonight, celebrating your birthday with us here at the trustee meeting. Thank you. On tonight's resolution is Resolution 2021 Tax 02 regarding the bond issuance for the fire stations project. I am happy that our bond counsel, Mr. Ryan Callender, sitting here in the first row, is here to address anything that you may have or ask for amplification on once we get to that item on the agenda. And that is item C on the agenda. There's another resolution, 2021 Tax 03, that authorizes us to accept the latest NOPEC grant for energy efficient upgrades. This year's grant amount is approximately $45,000, so I encourage passage of that. The design development documents, as you are well aware, are complete, and they've been submitted to us by the architects team. Thanks very much to the fire department. We have placed those drawings on the website under the Concord Facts Fire Stations tab. For anyone who wishes to view them, they are out there. Due to their size, they were broken into two parts, but the complete sets are there for viewing. This ties into item E, which is on the agenda, which is the next round of architect fees, which moves us into the detailed construction documents along with the bidding and procurement services for both stations. This amount is slightly less than the original amount that was quoted on May 29th of 2019, almost 2 years ago. So this is no surprise. And the previous amount was approximately $732,000, and this one is $725,000 and some change. As I discussed during our strategic planning meeting, the township-wide trash contract proposal is currently with our legal counsel for review. So once I get that back from legal counsel with his comments, I'm sure there will be more discussion prior to making any decisions on going out for bid with the board. And speaking of the strategic planning meeting, all of the slide presentations from all of the departments have been posted on the website. They're under the public meetings tab. The agenda was previously posted, and now the entire, I think there's 69 or 70 slides from all the departments. They've all been posted in the same order as the agenda on the website for anyone who wants to view those. And that concludes my report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. And next we'll be hearing from our fire department, Chief Sabo.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of January, we had a total of 199 events. We had 131 EMS calls with 102 transports to area hospitals. We had 3 fire events in Concord, 1 vehicle fire, 1 chimney fire, and 1 oven fire. We gave mutual aid to our neighbors 17 times, and we received mutual aid 16 times. Our Fire Prevention Bureau was once again busy in January. They completed 40 inspections, accounting for approximately 60 hours. They had 4 plan reviews, which included Seven Brothers Distillery, Golden Gloves, Well Shake Shop, and COVID Testing Ohio. They use about 6 hours for training and continuing education for their own certifications, and performed 1 fire investigation and in Concord, and then 1 mutual aid, which accounted for 6 hours. We had 2 residential lock boxes installed and 2 returned. They keep checking on the construction sites. Golden Gloves is in and complete. The COVID Testing Ohio is also complete. And Well Shake Shop demo is complete, and they're working on or waiting on sprinkler change plans. Just as a reminder, Friday, February 5th is Wear Red Day. This is an American Heart Association's women's initiative to raise awareness of heart disease in women. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women. Join the movement to help our mothers, wives, sisters, and daughters live happier, healthier lives. Learn the signs and symptoms of heart disease and stroke. Learn CPR, which we do offer, by the way. And know when to call 911. And if you're not sure when to call 911, just call us if you're not sure and don't know what to do. We'll help you through it. On a side note, lately, we reported at the strategic planning meeting a lot about the temporary conditions at Station 2. The information I had at the time was kind of caught me off guard with the quotes that we were getting on temporary tent facilities to house the fire engine. I'm not going to accept over $100,000 to rent a tent for 12 months. That's just extreme. So we have some options. We have 2 circumstances that we have to deal with on that side of town for temporary conditions. The first being housing the firefighters. So probably like a mobile home type atmosphere or idea. Whether we rent that or purchase and then resell. Those are a couple options that we're looking at. Moving away from the tent idea, the tent rental for the engine, we're looking at a temporary structure that can be put up and used for our engine and then taken down and relocated or repurposed in some way. So those are a couple of the options that we're working through. Still waiting on quotes from several people, but that's certainly where we're at now with the temporary conditions. That's been what I've been working on since our strategic planning on Friday. Do you have any questions for me?
No, but I'd like to comment.
Sure.
Just so the trustees are aware, I don't know whether I emailed you or not. Originally, when I discussed with Mr. McIntosh the purchase order for this evening, I'd planned on taking some of that out of the fire department capital projects fund, and was speaking with Chief today. The 2 of us determined that the money that's in that account right now is probably good to put toward any type of temporary facilities. So when I request agreement for the LeMay Erickson purchase order, all that will be taken out of the JED fund initially instead of the $75,000. And I apologize, it was just one of those kind of crazy days. It can be changed any time before the payment comes through, but we thought for budgeting and planning, it would be nice to separate so that we can keep track of the temporary facilities as opposed to being commingled in all the JED funds. Okay?
Okay.
I don't, I assume as you get a little further on harder options, we'll have some opportunity to take a look at that and pro con and all that stuff. So I appreciate your diligence and it's nice to hear that you're kind of like, I'm drawing a line in the sand and I'm going to rethink this. So that's, I think we appreciate that, your willingness to be flexible on that. So that's good. I look forward to continued discussion about how we're going to solve that problem. So thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, moving along, Mr. Brown, our service director.
These on here. Good evening. In the month of January, the service department responded to 11 dispatches for snow and ice conditions. We used approximately 540 tons of road salt. This week I had the opportunity to sit with the administrator during the Ohio Township Association virtual presentation on road maintenance and construction. So bring it on. The presentation covered the different options in maintaining and preserving asphalt roads, which we will definitely look into. When the crews are not out fighting the snow, they've been busy maintaining and restoring equipment and performing building maintenance, such as painting and building new countertops for the community center restrooms. The mailbox snow barricade program continues to be successful. The service department installed 8 new barricades last month. The barricades are available to residents for a charge of $40. Residents can find the snow barricade application on the Concord website. We continue to work with the Lake County Stormwater Department to enhance stormwater drainage throughout the township. We are also looking forward to the bid opening for the 2021 road resurfacing projects in the coming week. We'd like to remind residents to contact the service department with any questions, concerns at 350-3225 or email at concordtwp.com. The service department hopes everyone has to stay safe and healthy for the rest of their winter season. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No. Thanks, Tim.
Okay, moving right along with the zoning department, Ms. Freeman.
All right, good evening. During the month of January, the zoning department processed 21 zoning permit applications and collected $3,650 in fees. Additionally, in January, we performed 43 site inspections for open zoning permits and followed up on 1 new potential zoning violation. As far as the zoning board activities, last night our zoning commission met at Town Hall for their monthly meeting. We continued our work session to discuss potential zoning amendments to the RCD district regulations and micro distilleries. For those of you that might not be aware, one of the duties of the zoning commission is to act in an advisory capacity to the board of trustees on matters concerning amendments to the zoning resolution and the zoning map. In addition, the zoning commission also reviews applications for site plan review for new commercial projects, non-residential uses, and multifamily projects. Next week, our Board of Zoning Appeals will have their meeting. This month's agenda includes 1 hearing for a variance for a residential property and a hearing for an application for conditional use permits that are being requested for a commercial property on Gold Court. The meeting information can be found on the township website at concordtwp.com under public meetings. I'm happy to answer any other questions about any of these items or any specific questions about the applications from residents that might be interested in attending or listening in at those meetings. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, and Deb Esker from Recreation.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Baby, it's cold outside, but with Valentine's Day in a few short weeks, we've got plans to warm you up and with some high energy classes and some heartwarming programs. So here is what's happening in February. Power up that PowerPoint, Rick, please. Thank you. The community center is the place to be for residents and guests looking for fun and inspiring leisure classes this month. Our February class schedule includes martial arts for adults and juniors, pound, yoga pilates fusion, baton twirling for kids, a stained glass class that makes these cute little crazy birds, a chalk couture class that makes spinning signs, twig art class making a Valentine's heart, and a getting ready for retirement class. We're also offering another family fun adventure box kit this month that includes materials to make a Valentine's birdhouse, sun catchers, a heart-shaped pizza, and more. Sign up online through the township website or call the recreation department for personal assistance. Our senior socials have resumed this year in a safe and creative way. Earlier today, our first senior program of 2021 was a drive-by soup giveaway courtesy of the Concord Family Restaurant located at 9853 Johnny Cake Ridge Road in Concord Plaza and well known for their awesome soups. Our next senior social will be a spring craft lesson through Zoom on February 17th. Seniors are encouraged to call the Recreation Department to get easy instructions on how to participate. And thanks again to Concord Family Restaurant for their kind donation and sponsorship of our Soup for You program today. The Community Center will host another Red Cross blood drive on Monday, February 8th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There are plenty of appointments still available, so please consider signing up at redcrossblood.org. All donations are tested for COVID-19 antibodies, and results are available within 1 to 2 weeks through the donor account that you set up when you schedule your appointment online. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and to celebrate, the Recreation Department is teaming up with Concord's own Peace, Love, and Little Donuts for a special Valentine's treat. Just drive through the parking lot of the Community Center on Friday, February 12th between noon and 2 and pick up your free Valentine hand treat. Stay in your car and we'll hand it directly to you through your window. This is our way of saying we love our residents. Quantities are limited and pre-registration is required. Simply sign up through our website or call the Recreation Department for personal assistance. And again, thanks to Peace, Love, and Donuts for sponsoring this program. There's still time to enter Concord's Best Snowman Contest. Build your best snowman and take a picture of yourself with your masterpiece and enter it in the contest by February 28th. Don't miss your chance at winning this year's trophy and neighborhood bragging rights. Entry forms are online, or simply email your picture to recreation@concordtwp.com and we'll take care of the rest. Entries for Concord Township's 31st annual photo contest are being accepted now through February 26th. Enter online at our website or simply drop off your photos at the Community Center and we'll take it from there. Then cast your vote for your favorite picture between March 6th and 21st. Prizes will be awarded to the best of show and first, second, and third place in each category. Anyone can enter this contest, and images can come from virtually anywhere, including your phone. So send in that picture you took of the beautiful sunset and that happy puppy, because that 2021 trophy could be yours. And finally, the Recreation Department is sending out big hugs and well wishes for a very happy Valentine's Day. I'm reminded of one of my favorite quotes frequently seen on the internet this time of year, which really fits the past 12 months, and also in honor of Mr. Lucas's birthday today. Tell someone you love them today because life is short, but also shout it in a foreign language because life is terrifying and confusing. But seriously, we're choosing to focus on the love. So happy Valentine's Day, everyone, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Deb. Okay, and wrapping up department reports, we'll have Concord Law, and this evening we have the privilege of having a retired Lake County Sheriff's deputy giving a report. So, Mr. Dondorfer, take it away.
Unfortunately, our representatives at the Sheriff's Department had a last-minute schedule conflict, so I'm honored to be wearing my old hat. So, with that, the Sheriff's Department had 939 calls for service. Of those calls, there were a total of 24 accidents, 11 injury accidents, and 13 property damage motor vehicle accidents. A total of 6 arrests for the month. There was an arrest of a juvenile male for disorderly conduct and underage consumption, an arrest of adult male for disorderly conduct, an arrest of another adult male for telephone harassment and filing a false police report, an arrest of an adult male for a protection order violation, an arrest of an adult female for a motor vehicle theft involving OVI, DUI, and possession of illegal narcotics, and the last arrest was an adult female for possession of illegal narcotics. Total of 37 alarm responses. There were 4 citations issued for motor vehicle infractions, 68 written warnings. There was 1 driving under suspension citation and 1 DUI. Business checks, 115. Crime prevention cards, 75. That's when the deputies are out in the neighborhoods patrolling, might come across some suspicious circumstance or open garage late at night or something else that they do a community prevention card on. New criminal investigations for the month of January. There was 1 breaking and entering of a vehicle. There was 4 disorderly conducts, 3 domestic disturbances. There was a drug investigation, 9 threats, harassment reports. There was 11 mental health case reports, 8 scam reports, 2 stolen vehicles, 55 suspicious circumstances, 10 theft investigations, and 1 vandalism. That's all I have, Mr. McIntosh. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along to the next item on the agenda would be the audience portion. Is there anybody from the audience present at Town Hall that would like to say anything? Okay, and hearing none, is there anybody participating virtually that would like to speak? Okay, we'll move along to our old business, of which we have none. And we'll be moving into our new business. I know during our reports, everybody mentioned the strategic planning meeting, and I didn't say, but we did have some great amount of information. I think it was wise that we broke it into 2 meetings, because I think that was probably in excess of, 7 to 8 hours of some really in-depth, some good history going back a number of years to understand why certain things are the way they are, and some of the events that got us where we are. And of course, we got the departments to give us their look going forward. And it's interesting. I was thinking about something with respect to the township. We've got multiple department heads that have been here. Our administrator is coming up on his 3rd anniversary, but we've got Mr. Brown, who's coming up on his 1st year anniversary, and we have our chief's been here for 5 years, and Ms. Freeman's been the department head for about 5 years, 6 years. Okay, so. Okay, so for 3 years, and then you've got 2 trustees that are about a year. So it was interesting, and we have our senior here, the fiscal officer, who's our resident, who has all of the knows where all the bodies are buried, I guess. But
I used to.
Yeah, you lost track of that.
Well, I'm no longer cemetery sexton, so.
That's true.
Right.
So anyway, well, we had a lot of things to cover, and so I kind of wanted to take a minute with the board and talk about some of our key takeaways. I know we've had a lot of requests to explore the trash hauler contract. We've got a bicentennial coming up in another, we're almost a year away from it. We got the fire station. We have a lot on our plate, so I just wanted to see what the board's takeaway was there, or big takeaways are.
Yeah, I think there's, like you said, there's a lot going on in the township. Those meetings were very beneficial. We have a lot of development and programs and plans going on in Concord. You talk about, the bicentennial. There's been a lot of planning in that. We're looking at an excellent event to celebrate our bicentennial. There's a lot of work and effort that goes into that. We had a lot of good discussion on our roadways that we're responsible for, and how we plan on taking care of those throughout the years. Fire station is, obviously our priority right now. We had some good dialogue with the chief and deputy chief on some initial discussions on how we're going to move that project along. But we have a long way to go with that. That's why I think we are collectively going to, have some discussion in these meetings to, so the public is aware of what our plan is, and we're bringing in Mr. Calendar tonight to hopefully give us some summaries on one of our votes tonight. So zoning, there's a lot going on with zoning. We talked about zoning violations, and what has been done in the past, and where we're looking at going in the future as far as any type of violation, or what type of action needs to be taken. So there's been a lot that has gone on that we're discussing and that we're moving towards. So.
Yeah, I agree. It was very nice to have sort of a summary first of the funds and how our funds, our revenue sources, and we didn't really hear too much about COVID and how it impacted some of those funds, other than maybe the gasoline tax, I think. So that was good to hear. But there certainly was a lot of needs and some wants, and it up to all of us to sort of prioritize on this is all about Concord. So how we make those decisions based on, again, the general welfare, like I said, the safety of our community. But just nice to hear from each department where they're at and give us a different perspective as far as how we prioritize those needs.
Ms. Dawson, do you have anything to add?
No, other than, I mean, we'll continue those discussions over the next 2 weeks.
Right.
So I thought it went very well.
Yeah, I agree, and I think just to recap things, I mean, there's a lot going on in this township. This is a growing township. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of needs, and we have to manage our resources. We don't have everything. We can't do everything we want when we want, and we're going to have to manage that, and that's going to be the responsibility of this board. So. To do that, but I think it was a lot of good things happening. I think we're responding well to things that people in the community are expecting Concord to either do or take a look at. And when you take a look at the department reports we got tonight, I mean, I have all the utmost confidence that our departments are all being run responsibly, and we have a great crew. Everybody, gives us good feedback every month. So it's been a great year, and I look forward to moving forward with that, working with everybody. So. Before we get into the new business, I would like to invite Mr. Calendar to come up. I know that I had an opportunity to participate in a conference call with the administrator and our fiscal officer about this process of how we're going to be issuing this bond, and I know that my fellow trustees didn't have an opportunity to get that overview. So if you could take us, Mr. Calendar, through what we've done since the passing of the levy and what's in front of us today, and some of the steps that will come after would be really helpful.
Sure, no problem. Mr. McIntosh, members of the board, it is my pleasure to be here after almost 2.5 years of discussions with the township over this, and with, I think, 6 different trustees.
Same fiscal officer.
The exact same.
There's the stability,
yes,
right?
Yeah, that's true. Same, and the same administrator. Once the voters approved your levy, of course, the first thing we waited for was certification. As we get the certification, we started talking internally with your financial advisor, PFM. And the recommendation from them was to sell your bonds in a public market as opposed to a private placement with a bank or something, and to sell them competitively as opposed to using one particular underwriter. And so this is going to kind of be I'll get to it in a second, but eventually your bonds will, on one particular day, will go to a kind of an eBay of bonds, if you will. And therefore you get a wide variety of interest and a wide variety of different institutional investors and mom and pops that might be interested in investing. So the step that you have in front of you today is the authorizing resolution that authorizes that particular type of sale. And the goal here, I worked with your financial advisors, again, PFM, and Mr. Lucas, to make sure that you have as much flexibility within this resolution as possible. And the reason is you approved this, obviously, before. You're not going to the market tonight. You're going to be going to the market probably in about a month to 6 weeks, somewhere around there. And so the goal always with these resolutions is to build in as many levers and buttons and fine-tuning mechanisms as we can build in order to give you the flexibility so the date that you go to the market, you get the best rate as possible. So I apologize for the length of the resolution. That's part of the reason why the resolution is so long. You also may have seen in your emails, we are in the process of preparing with your Ms. Dawson and the Township Administration an official statement. So that's your prospectus that will go out to potential bondholders that tells the investors all about Concord Township, no matter where they are, whether they're around here or any place in the nation. And it also describes the bonds. It tells the investors that the bonds are going to be tax exempt, which will give you a lower interest rate. It will tell the bonds or the bondholders what the bonds are going to be used for, what the proceeds will be used for, the building of fire stations. And that is coming along quite nicely. We're actually pretty, I would say, within a couple of weeks of having that complete. And that'll be a very nice, it's a, to the extent you haven't looked at it, it's a thick book, has all sorts of demographic and statistical information about Concord. It'll be really nice for you to have going into the future, and we can get printed copies of that too for you. So after tonight, if you choose to adopt this resolution, the next step is finishing that OS. At the same time, PFM, your FA, and I will assist you going to the rating agencies in order to get an official rating for the township. That will occur over the next 2 to 4 weeks. That most likely will include a virtual meeting with folks at, whether it's Moody's or S&P, whatever PFM advises, in order, again, for you to explain what the township is all about. Once we get that rating, then we're ready to print that official statement and put it out into the market. And we'll have chosen one particular day, which the schedule right now is sometime in end of March or early April, something like that. But one particular, that's fluid at this point, but one particular day will be chosen, again, for this kind of eBay of bonds. And so the market will know that it's out there. There will be the way that official statement is distributed. It will be distributed to several different banks and institutional investors in order to drum up interest and excitement, in order to get you the best interest rate possible. And literally, mostly institutional banks will provide bids that will be due at a very particular time. Those will come in electronically. You'll be able to review those with your financial advisor. And at that point, you will take a certificate of award, which is what this resolution calls for, and takes all those options that you're providing for in here, narrows them down to what the market wants in that particular day, and you award the bonds to whoever has the best bid. About 2 weeks after that, you actually get the funds. We actually close the bonds. Much like a housing sale or something, we take all that information in, and then as a lawyer, I have to create, a pile of documents, because otherwise it's not legal unless you have a pile of documents. Right? But there are a large number. Sorry, Mr. Lucas. There are. Happy birthday. So it takes some time to draft those, plug in all the final information. So somewhere around 2 weeks after you have priced those bonds, you'll actually close, and you'll have the funds in hand. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions if you want me to go through the resolution, or just answer questions, however you choose.
I'm okay. I think it was very informative.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much. Okay. All right. If there's no questions for Mr. Callen, let's move into the new business. So first item on the agenda would be a vote to approve the January financial report.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to approve the January financial report.
I second.
All in
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm
Wait, you're
thinking about my old hat again.
You're supposed to jump back to one job tonight, Carl.
I'm thinking about my old hat again.
Okay, item B, presentation of the fiscal officer certificate. Amy Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh. To the Board of Township Trustees of Concord Township, Ohio. As the fiscal officer of Concord Township, Ohio, I certify in connection with your proposed issue of bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $8 million for the purpose of constructing, furnishing, and equipping fire station buildings and improving the sites thereof. That 1, the estimated life or period of usefulness of each class of those permanent improvements is at least 5 years, and 2, the estimated maximum maturity of the bonds calculated pursuant to and in accordance with Chapter 133 of the Ohio Revised Code is 26 years. I, being my estimate of life or period of usefulness with those improvements, and to the extent a portion of the proceeds of the bonds is to be allocated to a class or classes having a maximum maturity of less than 26 years, but in excess of 5 years, then the maximum maturity of the bonds would still be at least 26 years by reason of a sufficient portion of the proceeds of the bonds allocated to a class or classes having a maximum maturity or an estimated period of usefulness in excess of 26 years. And it's 2, based on the fact that the bonds were approved by the electors with a maximum maturity of 26 years. Stated this date of February 3rd, 2021, and I signed it, fiscal officer, Concord Township, Ohio. And here are your official copies.
All right, and thank you. Moving on to item C is the resolution 2021-2.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Resolution 2021-02, a resolution providing for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $8 million for the purpose of constructing, furnishing, and equipping fire station buildings and improving the sites thereof, together with all necessary appurtenances thereto.
Mr. Chairman, I second.
Is there any discussion?
I think we are.
Okay, I guess hearing none, I will just say before we go ahead and vote on this that a lot of hard work went into this, and I'm excited that we're moving forward, and also know that this is going to do a lot of great things in Concord and serve a very important need. So with that, Ms. Dawson, would you call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh. Mrs. Lucci?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes. Okay, moving on to item D.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-03, a resolution authorizing all actions necessary to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council, NOPEC, energized community grants.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to item E.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve purchase order to LeMay Erickson Wilcox in the amount not to exceed $725,354.56.
Second.
I second.
Okay, and any discussion?
I would just say, we knew going into these stakeholder meetings that this figure was out there from LeMay Erickson when it was given to the prior board. We knew that we were going to have this expenditure when we decided to keep on LeMay Erickson for this project. So the money has been, set aside and appropriated for this expense. So I think it's important that the community is aware of that we knew this going into the stakeholder meetings for the levy, and that figure was addressed, I believe, at those stakeholder meetings. And according to Mr. Rose, it looks like it came in a little bit less than was determined back in, was that 2019?
May of 2019, sir.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I agree. It's good to clarify that this is not anything extra since, this new plans, this was something that we knew of back in May, and it did come down a little bit less.
Okay. And I want to, again, it is important to know that this was the commitment that this township made. And when we made the decision a year ago to stick with LeMay Erickson and not reshop this as far as other architecture firms, that was, essentially, had we chose to leave them and said we didn't like these fees, we would have spent more money to go with a new architect. And so that's where we're at. And I also want to recognize the fact that this is, the amount is here for the construction prints for both fire stations, and that's all in there. So,
and that also includes, just to reiterate, the bidding and procurement for both of those.
We're taking this to bid with that, and that's going to allow us to bid them either successively or independently. So the idea is just getting these designs that the department spent years working on to the point where we can take them out to bid and start making the decisions we talked about making in the community during the stakeholder meeting. So with that, I will say all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that resolution passes, and vote on item F.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I can make a motion to approve the final plat for Quail Hollow, number 10, subdivision phase 1B, planned unit development.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that wraps up, leaving us with future meetings announcements. Mrs. Dawson.
Thank you. On February 9th at 11 a.m., there will be a bid opening for the combined Concord Township and Painesville Township resurfacing project for 2021. We held at the Lake County Engineer's Office on, February 10th at 7 p.m., BZA Board of Zoning Appeals will be held here at Town Hall. On February 15th, will be closed in observance of President's Day. Also, I'm going to backtrack on February 5th at 4:30 p.m. will be the appropriations workshop here held at Town Hall. On February 17th, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., trustees' office hours at conference room at Town Hall, and at 7:30 p.m., trustee meeting here at Town Hall. And then there were some recreation announcements that Deb covered in her presentation this evening. So that's all I have.
All right, and with that, we will conclude tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.